A little girl disappeared in the mountains. Years later, the truth left everyone speechless. The mountains were alive with the sound of rushing streams, rustling pines, and the distant cry of eagles. Families often came here during the summer, hoping to escape the noise of the cities and breathe the crisp alpine air. Among them was the Carter family, who had rented a small cabin at the foot of the range. Their daughter, Lily, was 6 years old, curious and full of energy. With golden hair that shone in the sunlight and a laugh that echoed like bells, she was the kind of child who could turn a simple walk into an adventure. That afternoon, while her parents unpacked supplies, Lily wandered to the edge of the forest. She carried a small basket, pretending she was a brave explorer hunting for treasures. Her mother's voice floated faintly from the cabin, "Stay close, Lily." But curiosity is louder than caution. Lily followed a butterfly with shimmering blue wings deeper into the woods. She giggled, chasing it over rocks and fallen branches, until she was far from the clearing. The trees grew taller, the light dimmer. Still she pressed on, unaware of the distance she had traveled. By the time she realized she couldn't hear her parents anymore, fear gripped her chest. She turned back, but every direction looked the same: endless trees, shadows stretching in the late afternoon sun. Hours passed. The search began at dusk. Rangers, neighbors, and volunteers combed the woods with lanterns, calling her name again and again. But the forest gave back only silence. By midnight, the Carters held each other and wept. The mountains had swallowed their little girl, and no one could explain how. The first night was the hardest. Lily wandered aimlessly until exhaustion overcame her. She curled beneath a fallen tree, shivering as the mountain air bit into her small frame. Her tears soaked the dirt, and her sobs echoed softly into the darkness. From somewhere nearby came the crunch of heavy steps. Lily froze, holding her breath. A massive shadow moved between the trees, broad shoulders, thick fur, glowing eyes that caught the moonlight. It was a bear. Lily whimpered, certain this was the end. But instead of charging, the animal lowered its nose and sniffed the air. The bear huffed softly, circling her before lumbering away. For a few moments, silence returned. Then from deeper in the forest, two smaller shapes appeared, cubs, tumbling clumsily after their mother. The great bear returned, carrying something in her jaws, a half-rotted log crawling with grubs. She dropped it before her cubs, who eagerly pawed at it. Lily watched with wide eyes, her fear mixing with fascination. The mother bear looked at Lily again, and in that moment, something shifted. Perhaps it was the child's helplessness, or perhaps instinct carried a wisdom beyond human understanding. Instead of leaving her behind, the bear nudged Lily gently with her massive head. The touch was rough but not violent, as though guiding her. Overcome by exhaustion and hunger, Lily followed. The bears led her to a hollow beneath a large pine, lined with leaves and moss. The cubs nestled against their mother, and Lily, trembling, curled beside them. The warmth was immediate, her tiny body pressed between thick fur and soft pine needles. That night, she didn't cry. When dawn broke, Lily woke to the sound of the cubs squabbling playfully. She blinked, half convinced she had dreamed it all. But when the mother bear nudged her again, encouraging her toward a patch of berries, Lily realized the impossible truth: the bears had accepted her. And in their wild, wordless way, they had become her new family. Days blurred into weeks, and weeks into months. What began as survival slowly became a new way of life for Lily. At first, she mimicked the cubs, crawling clumsily on hands and knees to keep up. She learned to chew berries, roots, and even the bitter grubs the bears dug from rotting logs. Her face grew smudged with dirt, her hair tangled with pine needles, but her laughter returned, a sound carried into the forest as she played alongside her wild siblings. She learned when to keep still. When the mother bear froze and sniffed the wind, Lily would stop too, crouching low until the danger, wolves, cougars, or men passing through the woods, was gone. The bear's instincts became her own. By winter, she had discovered the warmth of the den. Deep inside a cave, pressed between the mother and her cubs, Lily survived the bitter cold. She could feel the slow, steady rhythm of the bear's breath against her back, a natural heartbeat that lulled her to sleep. Her language changed too. Human words faded, replaced by gestures, hums, and growls. She communicated with her new family through sounds of contentment, warning, or play. The forest became her classroom. She knew which berries stained her tongue but never her stomach, which streams ran pure, and how to climb trees when danger prowled below. Though she was wild, she was not lost. Years passed, and the girl the mountains had swallowed was no longer just a visitor. She was part of its rhythm, its hidden story. To hikers and hunters, the occasional glimpse of a small human-like figure among the bears was dismissed as trick of the light or superstition. But within the heart of the forest, Lily thrived. She was no longer just a girl. She was a child of the bears. It was nearly a decade after Lily vanished when the first undeniable sign appeared. Two hikers, making their way through a high mountain pass, paused to drink from a stream. As they bent down, movement caught their eyes on the opposite bank. At first, they thought it was just a family of bears. A massive mother bear lumbered out of the trees, followed by two cubs. But then, a fourth figure appeared, smaller, upright, moving with a strange blend of clumsy and graceful. The hikers froze. The figure was a girl, her hair long and tangled, her skin bronzed by years of sun. She crouched beside the cubs, splashing water playfully, then lapped at the stream with her hands. When the mother bear grunted, the girl responded with a low hum, as though answering in the same language. The men blinked, unable to believe what they were seeing. A feral child, living among bears? They whispered to each other, debating whether it was real or some mountain hallucination brought on by thin air. But when one of them snapped a photo, the truth became harder to deny. The sound of the camera's click startled the girl. Her head jerked up, eyes wild and bright like an animal's. With a sharp sound that was neither word nor cry, she darted back into the trees. The bears followed swiftly, vanishing into the wilderness as though they had never been there at all. The hikers sat in stunned silence. They had come for adventure but stumbled upon a mystery that defied explanation. And when they returned to town with their story, and their photograph, the whispers began. Could the lost Carter girl still be alive, raised not by people, but by bears? The photograph spread quickly. Newspapers ran headlines calling her the girl of the bears. Locals remembered the Carter family tragedy, and hope, once buried, flickered again. Could it truly be Lily? A search team set out, armed not with weapons but with tranquilizers and nets, fearing how unpredictable she might be. After days of tracking, they found her. She was perched high in a tree, watching them with wary eyes. Her hair was wild, her clothes little more than scraps clinging to her frame. When they called her name, Lily, she tilted her head, confused, as if the word meant nothing. The bears were close, too. The mother, old now but still formidable, stood protectively at the base of the tree. The cubs, grown into strong yearlings, hovered nearby. 4 hours, the standoff lasted. The rescuers whispered among themselves, unsure how to proceed without angering the animals. Finally, they set food at the edge of the clearing: bread, fruit, pieces of cooked meat. Lily sniffed the air, curiosity warring with caution. Slowly, she descended, moving on all fours like a cub. She approached the food, sniffed it, then ate quickly. It was then they acted, gently, carefully, surrounding her. She shrieked, a sound more animal than human, calling out toward the bears. The mother roared in answer, but the rescuers fired tranquilizers into the ground, scaring the animals without harming them. The bears retreated into the shadows, their roars echoing long after. Lily, struggling, was wrapped in a blanket and carried away. The Carter family, older now and worn by years of grief, wept as they embraced her. But the reunion was bittersweet. For Lily, the touch of human hands was unfamiliar, and the language of her parents foreign. She had returned to civilization, but civilization was no longer her home. The adjustment was harder than anyone imagined. Lily, once a bright 6-year-old, was now a teenager shaped by the wilderness. She struggled with speech, her words broken and halting. At night, she resisted beds, preferring to curl in corners or beneath blankets on the floor. Loud noises startled her, and she often growled low in her throat when frightened, a habit that unsettled strangers. Therapists, doctors, and journalists crowded around, eager to study the feral girl raised by bears. But to her, the attention felt like captivity. She longed for the scent of pine needles, the rustle of cubs at play, the steady protective presence of the great mother bear. Her parents, patient and determined, never gave up. They showed her family photos, sang the lullabies she once loved, and spoke her name gently every day. Slowly, fragments of memory returned. A familiar melody brought a flicker of recognition. A photograph of the cabin made her pause. Still, the bond with the bears was stronger than words. One autumn afternoon, years after her return, Lily, now a young woman, was taken back to the mountains under careful supervision. She walked the familiar trails with quiet intensity. Her parents hoped the journey would help her heal. At the edge of a clearing, she stopped. The forest was silent, then a low rumbling growl broke the air. Emerging from the trees was the old bear, her muzzle gray, her body slower but still powerful. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Without hesitation, she stepped forward. The bear huffed softly, and for a moment, the years melted away. Girl and bear faced one another, bound by a memory no human words could capture. The rangers moved nervously, but Lily raised a hand, signaling them to stay back. She whispered a sound, not English, not human, but the deep resonant hum she had learned as a child. The bear responded in kind, then turned and disappeared into the forest, leaving only paw prints pressed into the earth. That day, Lily finally understood. She had two families, one of blood and one of fur. Both had shaped her, both had loved her in their own way. And though the world called her the girl raised by bears, she knew the truth was something deeper. She was living proof that love could cross every boundary, even the one between human and beast. And so the mountains kept their secret, that a lost child was never truly lost, but found a family in the wild. Love and protection are not bound by language, blood, or even species. Sometimes, the purest form of care comes from where we least expect it, reminding us that nature too has a heart.